All right, it's 10:30. The topic is on the board, and we're gonna wait a few more minutes, or a few more seconds rather, to get started. Hey. Hey. All right, we're gonna go ahead and get started. I assume today is going to be relatively short, which is good because I'll let you ask a whole bunch of questions. So I'll be able to answer a lot of questions live today, assuming that we get through the basic material pretty quickly. So today's topic is for Wealth Wednesdays today is rolling over your 401k and why you should care. In addition, we'll talk about the difference between traditional IRAs and Roth IRAs and why that's a big deal and which ones you should have, so on and so forth. So, you know why we're here. We do this every week, every Wednesday at 10:30 Eastern Time, 9:30 Central. My job is to get you to think a little bit differently when it comes to your finances. I like to make things simple, easy, and most importantly, I believe in the power of financial education to help you build your dreams. So if you can, go ahead and swipe to the right for an iPhone, swipe from the bottom on Android to share this broadcast with others. If you think that financial education is something that people need to know about, then share it, let people know about it. And if you like what you hear, if you agree with something, then you can tap anywhere on the screen and you'll see a string of hearts that will kind of rise from the ashes, if you will. My story, and we'll get into why this is really important for today. I was a teacher turned financial advisor, started my company in 2010, so it'll be 6 years this year for really making finances really simple for people. Wrote my first book in 2012, second book in 2014, and Wall Street Journal, New York Times, and several other blogs and podcasts that we'll get to here pretty soon. Speaking of teaching, so I taught 2 years in Dallas, Texas. One of the best, most influential experiences I've ever had. When I left teaching and went to become a financial advisor, I had what was then called a 403b. So a 403b account and a 401k, they're basically the same. It's just one is for companies, the other is for like nonprofits, schools, things like that. So I've actually had to roll over my 403b into an IRA account. And it was, for me, it was a struggle. So today I'm going to let you know about my story, how that came about, how I did it, and how you can do it, and hopefully take half the time that it took me. So to make today run a little smoother, if you have any questions, just jot them down or type them on the side and ask them at the end. Because when I'm like going through points and things, the question will pop up, then disappear, and I may forget you or skip over you, which I don't want to do. I want to make sure that I get to your question, answer the best I can, and then move on to the next one. So if you could write it down and save it for later, that would be perfect, so we can go ahead and address those all at the same time at the end. So I'm going to break everything down from the 401k to the IRA and break it down to well, it will forever and consistently be broke. So hopefully it'll make sense and be really, really simple and seamless. So the first thing is, what is a 401k? Just a bunch of letters and numbers to some people. But a 401k or a 403b in some people's case, they're pretty much the same thing. The 403b is for nonprofits, schools, and sometimes government organizations. 401k is just for everybody else who has a regular job. People who become millionaires are usually 9 times out of 10, or really 7 times out of 10 if you want to be specific, Most of the time, they're people who own businesses. But that other 30%, which does include teachers who become millionaires, people who just work regular jobs who become millionaires, they're what people are now calling 401k millionaires, meaning they just consistently save throughout their career. They put their money in their 401k, it grew, and that's where the majority of their wealth comes from. So the problem is, though, with most people in their lifetime, they're going to have between 12 to 15 jobs. If you are a millennial, such as myself, you can have a lot more than 15 jobs before it's all said and done. So in every job, most jobs have a 401k. So you got, by the end of your career, you could have 12 to 20 different 401k accounts spread out everywhere. And there's no guarantee that you're going to remember, oh yeah, 12 years ago I worked at this one spot, I need to make sure I get my 401k out of there. It's really hard to try and manage all those different accounts while actually doing your current job and taking care of your family and so on and so forth. It makes it really difficult. And imagine like your job, your financial goals and what you were saving for from your first job is completely different to what you're going to be doing at your third, fourth, fifth, and your last job. It's completely different. So you have to, for your own sake, and if you have an advisor or you're advising yourself with your finances, it's a lot easier and a lot better to have everything in one place. That's what a rollover helps you to do. But you do have options. When you leave that first job or that second job, and you have a 401k or 403b, you have three options. You can take it. You can leave it there and just leave it at your employer, which is completely fine. You can leave it there. You can take it with you, or take it with you as in they could cut you a check and you do whatever you want with that check, or you can roll it over. And I'm going to explain all three of the options. So the options are going to take it, leave it, or roll it over. So if you leave it with the company, which some people tend to do, is like, hey, I'm done with this job, I'm moving on, I'm leaving all the money I saved with the company. That is not the best idea. You're not going to lose the money. No one's going to come take your money and just go off with it. But it's hard to manage. There are times where you can only get through it through your company computer, your company website. Well, if you leave the company and you don't have that computer or that website link, that's it. You're going to have to hunt somebody down to figure out how much money was there and kind of go through that whole process, which takes a really long time. You also may not be able to add to it. You created a sum of wealth, you left it at the company, and now you can add to it. And that doesn't do you any good. You're not continuously growing your wealth. You just left it somewhere. So my suggestion is not just to leave it standing there while someone else watches it grow or someone else is managing it for you. You want to be able to monitor it yourself, and more importantly, you want to add to it. Your second option number 2, is to take it. Meaning you can call the company up and say, hey, I want to take out my 401k or my 403b, cut me a check. They can do that for you. However, I would suggest never, ever taking the full check unless you're 59 and a half, unless you're ready to retire. Reason is, if you take that out and they just cut you a check and you cash it, or they just give you a check in general, you can be hit with up to 20% in taxes off the bat, just for taking it. So don't do that. There are very, very small specific circumstances that you can take it without getting taxed, such as disability, serious illness, medical expenses, and if you have to pay a tax bill, which I think is weird. But that's the only way you can get it without being taxed. So don't just, if they offer you, hey, we can just cut you a check for the full amount for your 401k, don't take it. Because you will be taxed and you'll be shocked thinking you're going to get a refund or something, and it's a huge bill. So don't take it. So your last and best option is to roll it over, which means you're taking it from one job and rolling it over to the next job, or which is possible, you can roll it over to the next job, or you're taking it and rolling over to an IRA where you can control it yourself, you can watch it whenever you need to, and you can add to it. So I pretty much covered my notes, but it lets you manage it, which means you can check it on your phone at home. You'll get statements. Again, you can add to it, which is the most important piece. And you also avoid taxes, which means you take it from the 401k, you put it in the IRA. You're not getting taxed from it. There's no issues. It just moves from one place to another so that you can keep track of it. You can consolidate all of those jobs you've had, even if you don't have that many yet, into one place. Simplicity means a lot. It means a lot in personal finance when you're trying to get your goals right. Thanks for the hearts. So there's a right way to do a rollover, and there is a not so right way to do it, I guess is the best way to put it. So there's what's called a direct rollover, and sometimes they'll ask you, do you want to do a direct rollover or an indirect rollover? If you are given that option, you want to go for the direct 401k rollover, which means it goes from one company to the next, and you never see it. The reason is, it keeps the guesswork out of your hands. It's something less that you have to worry about. And then more importantly, if you get the check and they send the check to you, it's called an indirect rollover. They'll mail you the check, you take the check to the bank or wherever you have your IRA, and you deposit it. Problem is, if you do that, you have 60 days to put the check in your IRA. And if you want to do that, that's fine. A lot of things can happen in 60 days to where you forget, you accidentally cash the check, something happens, you lose it. Next thing you know, 60 days have passed and you get hit with a 20% tax if you're under 59.5. That's not good. I'm all about automation, making things simple. I'd rather them just transfer it from my 401k directly into my IRA and not think anything of it. So that's the best way to do it, the right way to do it. So here's how to start if you are someone who just left a job. My ribs are ready. Can you take those out, Jess, please? Thank you. So yeah, I'm also cooking, and why are you giving me that look? So yeah, I'm also cooking and teaching at the same time. All right, so here's how to start. Back to where I was. Here's how you start. So basically, you have to have somewhere for the money to go to. So you have to open up an IRA first. We'll talk about the types of IRAs. So open up an IRA first and ask them for any IRA forms. Direct rollover forms. You can open IRAs several places. We can get to that in the question section. So open up an IRA, which stands for Individual Retirement Account. So start that. So that's where you start. Open the account. The second is call your job or your 401k provider. Sometimes they're the same. Sometimes they're different. I know it's kind of weird, but that's how it works. Call them and ask for their direct rollover forms. So open an account, ask them for the forms, call your job, ask them for the forms. And anytime that you call to do these kind of things, you want to make sure that you are keeping track of who you talk to and when you talk to them. And I will tell you why in a minute. Anyway, once you get those two forms, you fill them out. You either fax or mail them. I say fax because it's a lot faster. But everybody doesn't have access to a fax machine because it's kind of old school. But either fax or mail. Make sure you keep a copy of everything for yourself. And it could take 2, sometimes 3 weeks. In my case, it took 2 months. We'll talk about why it took that long. But make sure you fill out those forms. And the rollover should take place shortly after that. So for me, it took a while. And the reason it took a while is because I had to talk to one company. I had opened up my IRA, talked to one company, talked to my old job. My old job said that it's a third-party provider who does it, so I had to talk to them, get signatures, and it was a really long, drawn-out process. And the reason why I say keep track of who you talk to and when is because it will really shorten the process when you're communicating via email and even on the phone. I'll call and say, hey, I talked to Josh 2 weeks ago. He said he had my forms. They'll transfer you to Josh or so on and so forth. And what I did, because I got so frustrated, because I knew I kept calling these people every 2 days to make sure that everything was good. When you keep names like that, it's easier to build that relationship, and you can just say, hey, look, hey Josh, I'm on the phone with the other company. I just put them on three-way. Sometimes you have to communicate with people with two different companies because it's like that. Put them on three-way and say, I've been talking to X person for so long. I've talked to them this many times. I'm putting you on three-way with the other company, and you guys just handle it over the phone. That was real simple for me, and once I did that, everything was solved. So if it comes down to it, and hey, they had my money, and I wanted to make sure I had complete control over it. So they put you on hold all the time. So don't be afraid to say, hey, let me put you on hold. Let me get my friend Josh at X company and put you on the phone, and y'all figure it out. Y'all got my money. I need to figure out. I want more control over my financial future. So always get in the habit of taking names and saying who you talk to and when you talk to them, because that helps. Even when you're dealing with credit cards and debt, it helps to keep a record. So that's something that you'll want to do. All right, so moving on to IRAs. So again, individual retirement accounts. There are two types. There are Roth IRAs and traditional IRAs. And like 401ks, and for those who may not know, 401k is just a tax code. It's not important, but the account is important. So just like IRAs, I like to say they're like a garage. They're just a place for you to park your money and grow it and kind of keep it safe from taxes. The thing is, the amount it grows really depends on what you put inside of it. Just because you have one doesn't mean your money is just going to grow exponentially. It's just a place that you can park the money, and whatever you decide to park in that garage is going to determine how well your money grows. So I know when I was younger, I know a lot of people that say, yeah, I just open up a Roth IRA and just put $100 in it. Like, okay, what did you invest in? And there's like, well, I just put it in there. So it's really saying you just open the garage and threw some money in it, but you put it in anything. It's just there. So you have to put something in it. Or you can say like a microwave. Like I just bought a microwave and I put the timer on 1 minute. That's great, but what are you cooking? What are you baking? What are you making? So that's the difference. So the difference between the IRA, the Roth IRA, and the traditional, or I'm just going to say Roth and traditional for short, is taxes. That's the difference between the two. You can only put in $5,500 for both. I believe it's $6,500 once you are over age 50, if I'm not mistaken. But it's the difference in, do you want to pay taxes today as you're putting money in, or do you want to pay taxes later when you take the money out? That's it. I like to think of it, an easy way to think of it is like if you're going to create a garden or plant seeds, do you want to be taxed on the seeds right before you plant them and you get all the free food you want, but they tax you on the seeds, or do you want to get the seeds for free and you get taxed on the food that you end up growing in the end? So that's the difference. Do you want to get taxed on the seed and have all the free food you want, or get free seeds and get taxed on the food that you grow? That's it. That's all it comes down to, is when do you want to get taxed, now or later? So for a Roth IRA, is like taxing the seeds. The Roth IRA is using what's called after. Thank you. The Roth IRA is after tax money, which means when you get paid and they take all the taxes out and you look like, oh, I only have this much left. That's after tax money. You've already been taxed on it. So if you put that in a Roth IRA, you can invest it, let it grow, and then when you're ready, you can take it out and you don't have to pay any taxes. Usually, there are strange cases where you may have to pay taxes, but usually you take it out of your check, or you get paid, put it in your Roth IRA, and when you're ready, you can take it out. There are income limits. They're usually pretty high, well over $100,000. If you're in that income bracket, congratulations. But if you're in it, then no Roth IRA for you. Those numbers change every year, and again, it's well over $100,000. But again, a Roth IRA is getting taxed on the seeds. You get paid, they tax you already. You take whatever money's left, put it in a Roth IRA, take it out. Usually tax free when you get ready. A traditional IRA is almost the opposite, where this is called tax or pre-tax money, meaning when you get paid, you see like your Social Security come out, which is pre-tax. Your 401k contributions comes pre-tax. Your traditional IRA is very similar. You can make it pre-tax where it comes out, or you can get paid and put in your traditional IRA and then deduct it from your taxes. Meaning you get a refund for the money that you put in it. The only thing is, when you get ready to take it out, when you are 59 and a half or older, you have to, with anything you take out, they'll tax you every time you take money out. So the question for most people is, which one do I get? How do I choose between those two? That's a question for most people. I have that for you. Before I get to that, one serious note, you should not, in most cases, don't roll over your 401k to a Roth IRA. And the reason is you will get taxed for that. That's called a taxable event. If you're going to roll over a regular 401k, roll it directly into a traditional IRA, because you get taxed when you withdraw from your IRA, your traditional account, and your 401k. So they're the same. But you don't get taxed on the Roth IRA. So if you do that, you'll get taxed, you'll get confused. So go from 401k to traditional IRA. Don't try to get fancy with it. All right, so going back, the original question for most people is, okay, I have a traditional IRA, I have a Roth IRA, which one should I get? Why are they important? Which one should I choose? If that's your question, that's a good start. It comes down to this. It depends on what you anticipate your taxes to be. If you think your taxes are going to be higher when you retire, which rhymes, let's say if I'm going to retire at 50, 60, 70, whenever, if I think my taxes are going to be really high at that time, then I'm going to get a Roth IRA, because I get taxed on the seeds, which means I get all the free food I want whenever I decide to get the food. If I think my taxes are going to be higher down the line, I'm getting a Roth IRA. I'm going to pay my taxes today while they're low, and when taxes are high for everybody else, I've already paid mine. I'm taking it out. If I expect my taxes to be lower when I'm older, I'm going to get a traditional IRA. The reason is, let's say if I'm making a lot of money now and I'm getting taxed a whole lot now, but I know later on I don't need a whole bunch of money, my tax bracket should drop, then I'll take it out then, because my taxes are going to be lower in the future. If you are going to be smart, you will get both. There is no rule saying that you can't have both. If you have both, you'll be ready whether taxes are low or high, or no matter what's going on in the landscape. I suggest you get both. But those are the differences in why some people only choose a Roth IRA, because they think their taxes are going to be higher, and other people think that is going to be lower. So that's the difference. So in summary, before we get to our question and answer, the best way is to do a direct rollover from your 401k to a traditional IRA. You would open the IRA first if you haven't already. Call your provider, your old job, and let them know I need any forms or paperwork or account numbers. And then take notes of everybody you talk to and when you talk to them and what they said, in case someone gets lost, paperwork gets lost, or they just take forever to get it done, as it was in my case. If you anticipate higher taxes later on, then you can get a Roth. If you expect lower taxes later on, get a traditional IRA. Or if you want to be smart and simple, just get both. So I'll take questions, and then we'll do church announcements, and then that'll be it. Okay, I have an ESA for my son, but at my age, which IRA do you recommend for someone at my age? Good question. So, because I roughly know your age, I would say, right now, because I know you personally, I would say get a traditional IRA if you haven't already. Again, there's nothing wrong with getting both, but I would first focus on your 403B. That's the most important account. Because you can put way more. You're allowed to put over $14,000 in your 403B. Oh, you don't have one. Okay, so scratch that. All right, so glad we got that cleared. So start with the Roth. Start with the traditional IRA. So that's what you want to focus on first, and then you can go for the Roth IRA, assuming that you can max out that contribution. So I need to get the traditional first. I will open up the traditional account first, yes. Oh, no, yeah, if you can open up the 403B, go with the 403B first. Reason is you can contribute a lot more, and it'll come out pre-tax as well. So 403b first before your IRAs. Any other questions? I'll go for another 2 minutes. And it doesn't have to be about IRAs either. We can kind of veer off topic. As long as I am capable of answering, I will. If I don't, I will tell you I don't know. And then we'll move on. Can I have a re-up? Yes. I'll say you one, or we can make someone I can get back down to Dallas. All right, one more question before we hit our announcements. All right, so could I talk to for 403b? That's a really good question because 403bs are typically a little different. You would have to usually talk to your HR department. They would know who to talk to open a 403b. The one at your job. So I would start with HR. Sometimes there are links on the side that say like retirement. Teachers Retirement Service I know has some helpful stuff as well. All right, so announcement time. Follow me on IG, Twitter, and share this broadcast at Building Bread. You can get all my announcements and stuff from Twitter, from here as well. I should be doing a Medgar Evers talk in the next 2 weeks. As soon as I get that date from them, I'll let you guys know. Hopefully we can put it on Periscope or something. I'm studying to get license. How do I feel about IULs? I'll get to that in a second, so let me write that down. IULs. Okay. All right. I just did a podcast with Present Value, which is a website that really helps you make huge financial decisions. Usually like having a child, getting a house, investment decisions. So I just did a podcast with them. Should be coming out on Tuesday. We're shooting to go to Atlanta in sometime this summer. So we're working on details on that. If you want me to come to your church or school or community center, you can email me at Kevin, Kevin, at buildingbread.com. If you have the book, Starting Point, How to Create Wealth That Lasts, if you have it already, go rate it on Amazon. Let me know what you think about it. If you don't have it, what are you waiting for? Go get it. Again, it's available on Amazon now. So I had a question on IULs. Those are, what does the I stand for? I know it's Universal Life Insurance Policies, but I can't remember what the I stands for. Index, yes, Index Universal Life Insurance, correct? Let me make sure I know what I'm talking about. Okay, so Index Universal Life Policies. Typically, they are used for investment purposes. 9 times out of 10, I like to shy away from using insurance products for investment services. Reason why is that it's typically a lot more expensive to do that. And then also, like, a lot of people tend to do that because they're worried about safety in the market. They don't want to lose any money, which is a fair point. But when you're investing in insurance, you have to contribute. You have to make those policies and the premiums every month. If I'm contributing to my own IRA account, if I don't have it at that point in time, I can just not pay and be fine. In a life policy, usually, if you don't make a payment for a certain amount of time, the policy cancels, you don't get any of your money back, which isn't the best at times. Also, for an index, you are guaranteed a small return, but to get something that would grow at the same rate as what a mutual fund would or a stock would, you're paying a lot more for the insurance than what you would be for a basic stock investment or a fixed annuity or something like that. So I'm not a huge fan based on the expenses of how much it costs, how much it grows versus other things. And usually I leave insurance to insurance, and I think investments should be more of investments. So if there are no more questions, I will see you next week. And also, if you have any other topics, feel free to put them in the comments for next week, or hit me up on Twitter or Facebook. I think most of people know me as Kevin Matthews on Facebook, but on Twitter as well. So every week, Wealth Wednesdays, I answer any and all questions that people have. So thanks for the hearts. Keep them coming. But let me know what you guys think. Again, I'm at Building Bread here on Periscope, obviously, and Twitter as well. If you have any questions, let me know, and I will see you guys next week. See ya.